Good afternoon, students. Last time we have learnt about introduction of tenses. Today we are going to learn more about the details about each tenses. Tenses is a part of our day-to-day life. We have learned tenses since long and we are going to use our tenses in our day-to-day life. Let us start about the details about tenses. Before we start with the details, can we all remember what we have learnt in the last class? The first and the priormost step to learn about tenses is to know about the persons. We have already known that first person is I, second person is you, we, they, and the third person is he, she, it. With this basic exercise of first, second and third person, now let us start with our tenses. The details about tenses. I am Mrs. Hildegard, Assistant Professor, Parul Polytechnic. The first important in the basic tense is simple present tense. We have learnt about the form of simple present tense. What is the form of simple present tense? It is the main verb plus s or es depending upon the person. Say first person and second person goes without s or es and the third person goes with s and es. Learning about the form of present tense is very easy, but how you are going to use the simple present tense is most important. In our day-to-day activities, now let us understand that the usage of simple present tense is so much of importance. We will do certain exercises wherein simple present tense is going to be helpful. In the earlier classes, we have already learnt about the positive, that is affirmative sentences, negative and the interrogative sentences. We have formed the tables. Please pick up your pencils and your notebooks, pen and notebooks, and start scribbling down on it. We will be starting with the positive sentences in simple present tense. You can see on the slide, there are a jumble of words written. As we know, there are a jumble of letters and you make words. Here you are going to make a sentence which is going to become a simple present tense. Like for example, you in the garden work. That means you work in the garden. The correct answer is you work in the garden. Here work becomes your main verb. You work in the garden. She Irish be. To be something. She is Irish. She is Irish, right? The car at the corner. Stop. The car stops at the corner. Now please understand, the car is third person. Whenever you have a third person, the verb will have an s or es. As this verb is stop, you should use stops, that is stops, right? Now, we tea drink. We drink tea. Drink is the verb and this verb will have no s or es. We drink tea. They good feel. They feel good. Feel is your verb. They feel good. I send postcards. I send postcards, right? Boris learns English. Again, Boris becomes the name of a person and thus it is a third person and thus we should use Boris learns English. He touches her hand. As I have told you earlier, s or es has been used. Stop has got an s, whereas touches, touches, right? So, he touches her hand. We chat in a forum. We chat in a forum. Now basically what I have here to teach you is that a verb is always in the middle of a sentence. You have a subject, you have an object and the verb is in between. The usage of verb in simple present tense varies. Correct. And it varies with the person to person. Let us now see how can you make questions, interrogative sentences. The second sentence here, she usually does the shopping at the shopping center. You have to form a question. Let us start the question, forming a question. Where does she usually shop? The question becomes, where does she usually stop? Remember the slide which we have seen earlier also. In that, does and do is been used. Does is used with the third person, that is he, she or it, right? Whereas do is used with first and the second person, I, you, we and they, right? The second question here is, our son helps her. Who helps with the shopping bags? Our son helps her, right? The next answer is, no, they aren't shopping together today. Aren't shopping. Here the word aren't is a contracted form. Are not is aren't. They is a second person, right? With first and the third person we use is and am. Whereas at the third person we are using are. So the question is, are they shopping together today? The question is, are they shopping together today? No, they aren't shopping together today, right? Let us see the second part of present tense. Before going to the second part, we have certain things to be made in the first part. Now let us say, make few such sentences using your daily routine. Like early in the morning, 6:30 you wake up. I wake up early in the morning. What do you do after waking up? I brush my teeth. I have my tea or milk. I do my breakfast. I get ready to come to college. And I go to college in the college bus. Right? These all are the few sentences which you can make as a simple present tense of daily routine. Right? So now I want you to do an exercise wherein you are going to write say 10 sentences of your daily routine with the timing say 6:30 morning till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at the evening, night. Correct? Now we are going the second part of the tense. Earlier times we have already known that tenses are based on three different times. The current time or the present time, the past time and future time. Here we are going to use present continuous tense. Now remember, this continuation in tense is also called as progressiveness. What is progressiveness? The action which is done in the past, it still continues till the future. That becomes a progressive tense. So every time when I use progressive tense, it also means the continuous tense. Correct? So now in the next class, you are going to learn about present continuous tense. The present continuous tense, in that we are using now exercise where you are using the correct form of tenses. There is a blank saying I dash a letter now. You are given a choice. A is right, B am writing, C am writing. Right? So the spelling I am writing letter now. The second answer is Susan dash the garden at the moment. Susan is digging the garden at the moment. Jane dash to the bed at 10 o'clock on weekdays. Jane goes to the bed is not a continuous form. So Jane is going to the bed at 10 o'clock on weekdays. Whenever you are doing any tense, please remember you have to see to it whether the action is started and it is continuous. You have a hint. Whenever there is a continuous tense, you need to have ing after the verb. Right? The next blank is I am in London this summer. I am learning English. We dash our friends next week. We are meeting our friends next week. My brothers dash letters every week. My brothers are writing letters every week. The bus sometimes dash in the morning. The bus sometimes is arriving in the morning. Now there are few activities like the bus is arriving, I'm writing letters, we are meeting friends. These activities are called as are in the continuous form. Let me tell you some of the instances where you will be using such kind of thing. Writing continuous tense is very easy when you are feeling the thing that the work or the action is still going on. Say for example that there is a play match is going on and you are playing cricket. Now if you are giving a commentary, what will you say? The player is playing cricket and he's just running behind the ball, and now there is a catch. Are you getting it? So all these sentences will be in the continuous form. You have to make a paragraph wherein you have to write a commentary of a cricket match. In that you will be using the tense which is the present continuous tense. James is a student but he is working this week. Lions dash in Africa are living in Africa. Our train is leaving at 9:25. She is going to the cinema tonight. My parents are watching TV now. Everywhere you find that the verb is having ing after the main verb. As we know that we have already made sentences which are affirmative and in a continuous tense, let us now make questions which will be important. Example is, where do you work? I work in Leeds. What time? I start work at 7 every day. What time you start work? Yeah, that is the question. What time you start working? Dash, no, I don't work at weekends. Are you working at the weekends? This is the question. Are you working at weekends? No, I don't work at weekends. Well, I'm not doing anything at the moment. What are you doing at this moment? Yeah, the question also becomes in the continuous tense. No, she does not go to work. Does your wife go to work? That is the question. She is doing some shopping, I think. And what is she doing now? This is the question. Remember that in simple present tense and in present continuous tense, the difference is only that the action is going on in present time and the action is still continuing in the future. Therefore, there is a very short difference, a very thin difference between simple present and present continuous. In the next slide, we are going to see about say simple present tense from positive sentences. The earlier question, we are punishment escape. We escape from our punishment, right? Now, you in the garden work. We have already done this exercise, and now you are going to write down these words in your sentences. Before going to the present perfect tense, let me tell you few important things. Here, first person I. You need to know that whenever you are doing any exercise in present perfect tense, you have to use have and has. Let us see what you can use here. Have and has is the activities which you have already done. There is a perfectness in the sentence. Use have with the first and second, and use has with the third person, right? So whenever you have any perfectness occurring, you have to use have and has in the present tense. The similar thing will be changed for the past tense, correct? So now we will be doing certain things wherein you will have and has usage. Let us see in the slide. You have to rewrite the phrase into the present perfect tense. The phrase is not in a perfect tense. You have to reform the phrase into the present perfect form. We don't forget. We have not forgotten. Now, can you see the word forget has converted into the past form, that is forgotten. Don't or have not. They clean. They have cleaned. Right. So when you say they clean, the perfectness is they have cleaned. He finds. He has found. Everywhere the verb forget, clean, finds, bought All are converted into their past forms. Say for example, forget is forgotten, clean is cleaned, finds is found, bought is bought, right? You bought, you have bought. Now, there will be certain exercises where you have to choose which one is the correct. In which sentence is the present perfect put in correctly? They has met at the airport. They have meted at the airport. They have met at the airport. The answer is they have met at the airport. Can you see on the board again? The board says that I, you, we, they have will take have. Now in the slide, you have they have meted. The slide shows they have meted. Meted is not a correct tense, right? Instead of that, you should use meet ka met, right? So meet will convert into met. The correct answer is they have met at the airport. In which sentence is present perfect put correctly? Again, I has bought a new computer. I have bought a new computer. I have bought a new computer. Answer is very casual. It is I have bought. Again, I, you, we, they will take have, right? And the bought word remains as such in the past tense. So I have bought a new computer. Bought is a wrong form of past tense. The next one, in which sentence is present perfect put correctly? The lesson has just begun. The lesson has just begun. The lesson have just begun. The third one, the lesson has just begun is correct. Had you had spaghetti for lunch? Have you had spaghetti for lunch? And has you had? The answer is have you had. Right. Now coming to since and for. Now there are certain words which will describe that the activity is done in the earlier time. Like for example, since or for. Now since and for both are prepositions. When they are used for a particular task, it shows that the action is began in the past and it is still continuing. Or maybe the action is began in the past and it has been done perfectly. So since Christmas, for 2 hours, for a few minutes, since 1997. So these few words are used when there is a perfect tense. Now coming to the negative sentences.